Hi, this is a really different junk journal. It's just jam-packed with antique papers, and some of them are super special. I did a collage on this one and then finished it off with some Mod Podge to really seal it in, because these are super, super old. So I did the collage. First off, you'll see this beautiful image of a little girl in an angel costume. And I believe this was for a communion. So if you turn down that little embellishment tag there, you can see on the back that it's been turned into a postcard by the photographer so that they could mail them overseas. I did that on a hinge so that you could see the back. It's so beautiful. And then I got these from old magazine articles. This one came from an old newspaper that was used in a school scrapbook on chickens. This is from an old book here. And that's from an old invoice. And again, this is from an old scrapbook that was a school project. Some antique stamps here, and just some pretty old paper. And I've embellished it with this really fun rose ribbon with the pearls on it. Aren't they beautiful? So let's take a look inside. Right off the bat, I used this beautiful page out of an antique book it's just filled with plates, which would have been images. And I made these vintage tags here in this corner tuck spot. That's made out of 100-year-old paper. And I added some ribbon just to give it that beautiful vintage look. And there's more of those plates from that book. This is a page about that scrapbook I was telling you about that was a school project. I love this. Look at these great images that she would have cut out, or he would have cut out from old magazines. I don't know why they had magazines about chickens, but they did. This is from an old school book that was a script, and you can see the handwritten notes in there, Romeo and Juliet. And I made this pouch here out of an old book page, a very old book page. And there's a great little photograph here. It looks like 3 generations. Isn't that great? You can journal on the back of that or just keep it because it's so interesting. And that's from an old invoice that you can journal on. And there's that old scrapbook page again. That's over 100 years old. So it's very brittle. If it breaks, then just put the page into one of the pockets, one of the tuck spots that I put throughout the journals. That's just an old music lessons book. And just some great journaling spots here. I put this in because it's from an old comic. I just thought it was fun. And I slipped in some tags that I made here. Made that flower out of an old book page. Detailed it with some lace. Look at this great advertisement that was in the comic. You're going to have a lot of fun reading those. I believe these are from the 70s. And look at this, is one of my favorite pages of all my journals. It is a full blank page, which is hard to find, out of an old bookkeeping ledger. Hand stamped the page numbers. The sepia tones are gorgeous. It's very delicate. There's some tearing here, but that's okay. It may break out, and again, just put it right back into your book. Or you could actually take this out and make a piece of art out of it by framing it and adding other vintage articles, maybe in a shadow box or something. Look at the back side of that. It's just beautiful. Here's a map that I've aged a bit. And I've done a lot of coffee staining pages here because you need lots of space to journal on. And another tag here for you. And this here is a band that I put in so you could tuck things into that came out of an old crochet magazine, and I love it. Here's a little card. Oh, it's got to be 60, 70 years old. Just a card you would have sent out when you moved, but you can open that up and journal in there as well. Isn't that pretty? I'll just slide that in there. Another comic book page. So fun. And that's a page actually out of an engineering book from the notes section at the back. I just did some hand stamping here to make things fun and interesting. An old music instruction book. There's that great old scrapbook page again. You can even see the little places where the images fell out. And old glue marks, old newspaper marks. That script again from Romeo and Juliet. Another wonderful plates, images page. Quite historic actually, and if whoever buys this wants more information on this, I can certainly send it to you. It's really interesting. If I could tell you the history of every page, this would be a 3-hour video, but I'm happy to tell you before you purchase the book, or after you purchase the book actually. So there's another little tag I made here, and look at this. I made that out of a hand-typed story page. Another little tag there for you. Lots of tuck spots here. You can put your own pages in. Whoop! And you can even journal on the back there, and I did that so you could see the fun comic book. Put some little wooden details here, just for fun. More of that paper we were talking about. Lots of funky little images here. This is from an old instruction book. Isn't that great? And this here is interesting. This came from a wallpaper border from the early 1900s that would have been all hand painted. It was so brittle that when I tried to unroll it, it just broke into pieces. So I was able to salvage some of those pieces. You can even see this would have been the very first part of it where they taped around the border roll, and I left that tape mark in because I thought it was endearing. Isn't that great though? Lots of little journaling spots here for you. Another funky comic book page. A children's vintage story or music song page. Another little tag I made for you here. This is a hand-typed story. You can see the staple marks and the duotang marks, and that would have been the carbon copy. If you don't know what carbon is, then you're very much younger than me. There we go. There's an old map, and here's a great journaling ledger page again. That would have been from the 1920s, 1923 to be exact. I know that because the woman who used this wrote the dates in. And these are just more journaling pages. And here's a tuck spot here. You can put all kinds of your own things in here. This is just another little tag that I made out of an old book page and an old music sheet. Isn't that beautiful? And this is special. This is a very old greeting card, and it would have been a big deal because this has some metallic paper on it and even some little ribbons here. So that was a big deal. So you can open that up here. Well, no, you can't. Don't do that. You'll ruin it. But you can certainly journal on the front and back, and then you can tuck more tags or inserts into there. Isn't that great? So let's just stick that back in there. And that's again on a school script from Romeo and Juliet. You can see the handwritten notes again. This is from an old TV guide from the 70s. And you're gonna have fun if you're my age looking at all of the old shows. It's gonna bring back so many memories. Journaling spots here. There's another one of those beautiful hand-typed story pages, carbon copy. And there's an old book page that I made into a lovely pocket using antique papers, and I put in my own tags there for you to journal on. There's another TV guide insert with a great advertisement on the back. And I used some of this. This is actually really old ribbon here that I've added, and I just made them into tuck spots for more journaling tags. I made those flowers out of vintage paper, put onto another one of those script pages, Romeo and Juliet, Board of Governors. And that page, another story page, another tuck spot here in a doily, and more journaling pages, children's song page, that beautiful image, and an old index page, and then you're at the back of your book. Lots of spots here to journal in as well. So it's a loaded book, quite loaded, and this one is going for $55. First come, first enjoy.